We are on. All right, third episode of the COVID series of Pod BN. Today we got Justin M. Boyd, country financial agent and small business guy here to talk about how things are going from his perspective. So,
Yeah.
but also just been doing these just for logistical reasons. Been doing all the stuff solo recently, but talking to you more as a I put your last name on this time instead of you just being Justin.
That's all right. We can do that.
So,
We can do
so
that.
how you and your family been holding up?
Good. We're okay, especially compared to a lot of other people. So, we count the things that are positive. It's kind of a weird time for us because we just moved. We just moved houses. We closed on March 27th. So we were right in the middle of all the people trying to figure out how to continue to do business through it. So our closing was very unconventional. It was just us. The other on the one side, the people that bought our old house wasn't in the same room, and then on the other closing, the people we bought from weren't in the same room. No realtor in the room, no lender in the room.
Oh, okay.
Us and the title people signing papers. So that was weird. And they had, of course, like everywhere you go now, they have the hand sanitizer and the wipes all over the place, and you had to bring your own pen because they don't want to loan pens out. So
okay.
that was a unique experience. And obviously a lot of people working from home. So we closed our office to the public. It was before that. It was right when it first started to, I think it was even before the governor gave the stay in place order. We kind of made the decision to lock our doors and do more things virtually and on the phone. But I was still continuing to go to the office, and I still do. But now that we're in the new house, I'm trying to set up kind of a home office too. So
yeah. Is there much going on? I guess we talk about your how your agency's doing. Is there much going on right now for you?
I mean, of course, there was a little bit of a speed bump when everything first came down. Just like everybody else in every other business, we had to learn how to do things a little bit differently. But I think we always even before this, we always try to meet people exactly where they are and help them get to where they want to be. So right now, everybody's at home, so we got to meet them there. And so we're learning how to use things like this, like Skype a little better. Virtually do some appointments that obviously in the past was face to face. It's just a different way of doing things, and I think that's what a lot of businesses are having to do is adapt. We see that with restaurants that never offered delivery or curbside doing that now. You see it in all different industries, and that's all we're doing too is trying to figure out how to exactly do this. Because I mean, honestly, people are home now, so there's not a lot to do. So for a business like mine, we can contact those people and they have time to talk to us about insurance or financial services or whatever they need to do. So they have the time to actually go through some of this stuff now. So it has been busy. I've been quoting a lot of new business, reviewing a lot of client stuff, helping them find ways to save money, which is important to them right now. Obviously, some people with cut back in hours or not being able to work. So all those things are important, and we're still able to do that.
Yeah. You still able to keep all your staff working too?
Yeah. So that was another kind of just odd timing thing for me. So I was in a transition of office staff probably about a month and a half before all this COVID thing hit. So my current Shayna, who works in my office now, she had just gotten her property casualty license right before all this happened. And she's just part-time anyway. But yeah, she's continuing to work. I applied for the PPP that came out the end of last week to hopefully be able to, help with some of that cost of payroll and stuff when we're not bringing in as much new business as we were before to help pay for that kind of stuff.
So I'll admit I don't know what the PPP is. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's just one of the couple that government assistance that came out for small business owners. I believe it stands for Payroll Protection Plan. I might have that wrong though. But essentially it's a loan. It's a 1% loan, that any small business less than 500 employees can get or apply for, I should say. You just apply for it at any lender. It's not, managed to the government or anything. Just go to your local bank. It's kind of the SBA. Apply for it. It's 1% interest with 6 months deferred on it. And then if you meet certain criteria with the loan, like using 75% of it for payroll or more, then you can apply for forgiveness on that loan. So just to help keep your employees staffed throughout this time.
Mm-hmm.
They just rolled it out. I think it was Friday morning. It was either Thursday or Friday morning. I sat on through the McLean County Chamber of Commerce, sat on a call that kind of rolled everything out. And I applied right away, as I'm sure a lot of small business owners did,
Mm-hmm.
just to try to get it in time. But yeah, it's just one of a few ways. And obviously, I'm not a lender or a banker, so don't take any of that things I said and run with it. Talk to your lender, but
Yeah.
that's the way I understood it. So any kind of assistance we can get through this time is going to be helpful. I think that's the weird part is everybody's trying to I'm actually amazed at how well people are adapting on the fly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one prepared, at least no one I know of small business wide prepared for a pandemic. Like you might prepare for a down month or something like that, but where not just you, but your consumers are stuck in their house, no one could prepare for that. And the way that I've seen small businesses adapt to that, I'm really amazed with. I mean, in my industry across the board, being able to do things like this virtually, you can share computer screens and all that. Thank God for the technology we have now. But retail establishments being able to go online and so quickly, nothing motivates you more than this type of thing to actually get some of those ideas you had in your head rolling and rolled out. I mean, State Farm, Country Financial, all the big companies, it's amazing how quickly they were able to pull the switch and be like, look at all these people that can work from home now. It's
Yeah.
just the way businesses are able to adapt amazes me and how quickly they're able to do it. And some of the innovation that comes out of it too. I mean, I know Joe's Station House had that pizza kit you could buy and take home, make pizza with your family, and Decorators Grocery had some of those little candy making things, that kind of stuff. Just, I don't know, it's just cool when you're pressed up against the wall, some of the things you think of to keep your business rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking to some people from the McLean County History Museum, and um, one of the people said that she's trying to view it as like a constraint that has to spur creativity.
Yeah.
So it's not a barrier to what you want to do. It's it's something that you need to try to figure out a way to innovate around, and not just rest on what you've always done before.
And I mean, not trying to be the bald eagle pounding my chest here, but that's what America has done throughout its history, right? Is we come up with these obstacles and that pushes us to innovate further. And I think this is just another one of those instances where we're going to see a lot of good come out of this when it's all over. Of course, we got to trudge through the crap first and, unfortunately deal with a lot of people that are sick and suffering and that kind of thing. But I think we're going to come out of this stronger as a society, just because of the innovation and adaptability that we've been able to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about how if this happened 10 years ago, just how different it would be from a technology standpoint.
right, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we just moved into this house not too long ago, and so I'm sitting in my home office right now, which is a card table.
Yeah. It's nicely decorated behind you, just so
Yeah.
that's it.
all white walls in my basement. But as minimal as this is down here, I'm able to do my job from right here, which is kind of crazy. Like you said, 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. And we'd be in a lot worse position, I think. I mean, restaurants are getting a lot of buzz right now because that's what's Facebook. Everybody's doing carry out and stuff. But I mean, the way they're able to get the word out on what they're doing and how they're doing business through Facebook and social media, I think has been big too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jamie Matthews said that Red Raccoon, they've been meaning to get their online store set up for a while. And so now they've got everyone that they're allowed to have in the building is just going around and inventorying everything and putting it up online so that they can have an online presence, which is something they needed to do anyway. Just interjected some energy into that project.
Energy and time, right? Because I mean, when you are running a store inside, you probably didn't have a lot of manpower and time to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Where now that's able to be done. And I mean, even at Country and stuff, they've been wanting to roll out some of this virtual stuff for a long time. And what better motivation than when you have no choice? So, we're able to get a lot of things done. And even what did I see the other day? Where notaries now can do it virtually, which is a new thing that's came.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, there's a couple guidelines there that you have to follow, but it's just, I think overall we're going to learn a lot from this. Though I saw I saw a couple good memes on like Facebook about this. Like one of them was, wonder how many of these people could be working from home for like the last 5 years, or wonder. So all those meetings could really be conference calls like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, especially if we get to the point where we could have, sorry. So at State Farm, we can work remotely, but due to the capacity of the VPN that we use to log in, we can't use video right now.
Yeah,
Um, so I'd say that does pose some problems because especially me as a manager, like I've got employees, and it's hard to have a sensitive conversation if you can't see the person.
sure.
Especially if we got to the point where we could have video conferencing at work, like we're getting like 95% of the value of what we do done by working online
Yeah.
anyway. And which
I
I've
mean,
always found with my team. So this kind of like proves it to those who are skeptical. It's like, yeah, we did this for a whole month and like we pretty much just kept going as we were.
right. And I mean, obviously, from the field perspective, as an agent, it's a little different because people are just used to doing business a certain way.
Sure.
Uh, I mean, there's some aspects, like unfortunately, I think a lot of like the home and the auto insurance over the last 10 years has become, kind of a commodity anyway, where people are used to going to some of the competitors and just hopping online, and they could do that with us. But there were always our competitive advantage was always us, right? And same with State Farm or Allstate, where you still had agents that you could go into and actually talk, and there were people that found value in that. And
Hmm.
so we're not losing that completely, because I mean we work with business Skype business, where I can still do this to clients and prospects and stuff. But then when you talk about some of the other things like life insurance, or any kind of financial planning and that kind of stuff, people still like to see who's doing that.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
my experience anyway, it's not quite as transactional as some of those auto and home has become, but
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like you said, luckily we have the technology to be able to do that. So
Yeah. Um, so what else do you kind of see in the small business community? Is there any other like kind of creative ideas you've seen people deploy?
I'm sure there's. I mean, every day I see something on social media that I'm like, that's a really good idea,
Hmm.
and I'm just always blown away, especially in our community, about how people pull together. I mean, I will say that there's still a lot of fear in small business owners, and even though the community is rallying behind them, it seems like the local government at least has their finger on the pulse. I don't know if they've completely done everything they can do yet, but I also think it's not their place. They got to go a little slower. They got to see what the federal government's doing, the state government's doing, before they could actually step in. So I think there's some comfort there, but there's a lot of fear. I mean, I was talking to a restaurant business owner earlier last week, and she mentioned how she was very happy with all the community support she's getting, and she goes, but I'm worried because eventually that's probably going to wear off, depending on how long this thing lasts. And it's either going to wear off because people are going to get tired of eating out all the time, or people are, the longer it lasts, the more people are going to get really concerned with their finances and then not want to spend that money on eating out. And it's kind of, it's going to be a trickle down effect to those business owners, where they're not going to be able to stay open and keep their people employed and that kind of thing. So there's still a lot of fear. And that's why I, I was talking on WJBC the other day, and I said, we as business owners, like the business owner side of me has definitely had to change. But I think I also have to change as a consumer too. Some of the ways that I want to do business, I can't do business anymore, and I have to meet those business owners where they are too.
Hmm.
I think we have to be open minded to that. And I mean, it's just we're going to learn how to do business differently. I mean, as a consumer, as a business owner, across the board. I don't think we're going to get back to normal. I think it's going to be a new normal after all this is over. Like I saw I forget who it was, somebody on Twitter the other day tweeted, I don't know if I could ever shake someone's hand again after this. I'm like, that's going to be a real concern for a lot of people. uh,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's so natural just to want to, shake someone's hand, or even, certain close friends, give them a hug when you see them and that kind of thing. Like how much of that's going to change after this? I don't know. It's really,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the things I always go back to. I always try to think, obviously my business has changed, but there's still ways I can work. Retail, your business has changed, but you could move online. There's ways to adapt. I think of the businesses that just can't. Like hairdressers are always one that I think of. Like you can't cut someone's hair from 6 feet away.
Yeah.
So like they're just out. Like dental hygienists, right? Like you can't clean someone's teeth from 6 feet away. So they just don't have any. any place in this. They don't have a way to adapt and continue to do their business. And those are the people that are really, like, I really think about a lot. Like, I have a friend that she has two jobs. She cuts hair, she's a beautician, and she bartends. And so right now she's just like, I don't know what to do. And she's not the type, and a lot of people are like this. Our unemployment spiked, obviously, but she's not the type to draw unemployment. She's always been able to kind of hustle and get a job. And, it's shifting. The world's shifting, and it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my COVID-19 haircut going on right here. I just buzzed it all off because I can't get to someplace. So,
so people think that I shave my head all the time, and I don't. What I do is I go to the barber twice a month, every other week, and I have him trim my beard, and he shaves my head for me. And in between, I just take a zero guard to my head. Well, obviously can't go to the barber, so I think it was like 2 days ago I decided to take a razor to my head, and sure enough, I nicked my head back here, and it bled like all day long. Just I had a Shaquille O'Neal Band-Aid on my head for.
Yeah.
We all miss our people for sure.
Yeah. That's been a tough thing. As an extrovert of not being around people, I feel my energy just like grinding down over time. Do you have that experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just miss people. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. I've had the virtual happy hours. I've had two of those in the last month. I've had coffee with friends just in the morning, throw up the iPad and have coffee and talk. But it's still not the same. I mean, it's getting by. Like, I just got back from a bike ride, and I safe as possible on that bike ride, but it's still nice to see people, even though I can't like sit there and talk to them and say hi. It's nice to get to see those people out. So
I've seen more people walking around. I feel like I think there's more people, or maybe it's just I'm noticing people more. But I've really enjoyed just seeing the people out walking around, and you can still have a conversation with your neighbor from a safe distance and check in how they're doing. And it's I hope, especially now that the weather's getting nicer, that people are getting out more and still making that socially distanced connection to the people around them.
Yeah, I think it's double-sided. I mean, that's what there was that picture going around Facebook a couple of days ago from a group at Normal that was just sitting way too close and outside.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing that the nice weather's doing is it's making people make bad decisions also.
Yeah.
We got to still be able to listen to the doctors and scientists on this. But I agree. I think in some ways, this is probably the pause button that we all needed to hit for a long time. At least probably I could say personally for me, I'm the type that just goes as hard as I can most of the time. It fills my calendar up. And it's as difficult as this is for me to have any sort of downtime. I know that somewhere it's healthy, just to relax a little bit, as hard as that is. So I think there's a lot of people like that.
Well, the time to figure out how to care for vulnerable people around you too, right? Being, if folks whose income didn't dry up or isn't putting into bad financial straits, and we have this extra time, how can we help each other?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it comes down to empathy. I mean, you got to think, like we were talking about the hairdresser, the dental hygienist, but then you got the senior in high school that's missing graduation or prom, and just there's all kinds of, and I don't think one's necessarily worse than the other when it comes to that, because we all feel those things when they're happening to us a little bit more. So I don't know. I think overall I'm okay. I don't want anybody worrying about me. But I am very empathetic for everybody else. And that's why I say, we got to meet people exactly where they are and do the best we can as a community to come together. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that here locally. From what I can tell anyway. So.
Yeah. I would have expected more like fear and anxiety outwardly expressed, but I guess the Midwestern way of approaching crises is sort of to be stoic, Do you see that when you talk to people? There's sort of like a stoicism about it.
Yeah, I do.
But it's like you don't have to scratch very hard at it before it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, but I also think it has to do with the type of crisis that we're in. Like this is a virus that oftentimes you don't even see symptoms. So I think if this virus caused us to have a discoloration of our face and you could tell people that had it, I think panic would be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm.
Like I think if it was more visible, it'd be a lot higher. But everything, like I had to go to get my weekly grocery store. I went to the grocery store yesterday. A lot of people wearing masks and that kind of thing, but overall, people didn't seem scared. But I think if you could visually see what this virus was, I think there'd be a lot more panic. So I don't know if that's a Midwestern thing as much as just the type of virus it is. I think that's why it took so long for people to actually take it seriously, is because you heard the things where it's like the flu or whatever, and it is and it isn't. It's a virus, so kind of, but
Yeah.
but I mean, it's obviously something that we don't have a cure for, we don't have a vaccine for, and we don't know what it does. I mean, we've heard rumors for the last month of maybe when it gets warm, maybe when this happens, maybe when this happens, and I think that's the scary part, is just, and then people are also just scared of the side effects of how long do I got to stay in my house? How long do I got to not work? I think that's a lot of the fear too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To go on the economic side of things, I mean, as one financial guy to the other, what's your this is one of those like real outlier situations. You don't really design a portfolio with this in mind, but like, how does this sort of mesh with your financial thoughts? Not as no financial advice if coming
No,
from either one of us, but just what does it make you think of?
Yeah, I mean, this is not obviously I can't give advice because everybody's situation is going to be different. But I mean, I think the same principles that most financial people would talk about, and most of the credible sources you would read still hold true through this. Diversification is important. Emotion shouldn't control your decisions. Longevity and how long you have you need that money should play an important role in the risk tolerance that you have in your portfolio. So all those things hold true through this. I mean, unfortunately, no one ever times market. Nobody ever times any of that stuff. So there's going to be winners and losers all the time. But those steadfast rules, I think, still apply even in this situation.
Yeah.
On a much larger scale of like our economy and the world economy, I can't even wrap my head around what this has a potential to do. And I'm not an economist by any means, but like just to think of how much money, not just our government, but countries across the world are going to have to print basically to stay afloat and to make sure their people don't suffer, and then to try to figure out a way to get that back is going to be, we're going to be paying for this for a long time, is basically what I'm saying. And that, what the damage that could do to the global economy is unthinkable right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I keep there's a reaction when you see S&P 500
Yeah,
dip down like that. There's this reaction of like, oh crud, I don't want to hold on to this stuff anymore. But this is like not the time to make any kind of financial decision. Like you got to keep your portfolio like you got to.
Yeah, and like I said, longevity plays an important part on how long you have to utilize some of that money. I mean, there's all kinds of studies out there. If you look at from the 2008 crash, the people that pulled their money versus the people that didn't, and the loss that they had and some of the profits that they could have had. Yeah, I mean, talk to a professional. That'd be the best thing.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a case for managed accounts and those types of accounts, because yes, you can, just like anything, right? You can do it yourself, but it's when these types of things happen that having someone there that's not emotional about your money could make a big difference. So
yeah, I was I've been meaning to put some of my money in like I pretty much just have it all riding the S&P 500 right now because I'm lazy and young, so I can just have it in there and I can withstand that volatility. But I've been thinking about like maybe once I get into my 40s about putting something in safer, or even looking at commodities that'll be like counter cyclical to it. And I think I'm okay in this one, but if this happens again in 10 years, I'm going to be in a different position in life. So I think this might be kind of like the kick in the butt I had to put some of that financial training to work and invest in something that's not just like a targeted mutual fund.
yeah, I mean,
So if I actually buy gold, though, then I get, kind of conservative credit there too if I own some gold. So that's good.
and you hit it on the head. Like people our age in the mid 30s or younger, this affects much less, hopefully, than someone that's 60 plus or 70 plus and still working. So everybody's situation is different, and that's why everybody needs their own professional to actually help them guide them through this.
Yeah.
There's no way that someone should be giving generic advice, but there are some steadfast principles that I think still hold true no matter what happens.
Yeah. Yep. Well, to take it back locally a little bit, I've also been kind of wondering about how many of our chain stores or like in particular the mall. I really wonder if the mall is going to reopen after this. But then kind of, I guess, have you been thinking about that at all? About the mix of local versus chain businesses and what this might do to that mix?
I have. I'll tell you. I have. I just saw Logan's Roadhouse close across the country.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah. Fire all their employees, and then we just had Slim Chickens close there, which is another franchise. And I think it's important. Small business. Everybody talks about small business, and trust me, I love small businesses. But a lot of these franchises are locally owned, so supporting a franchise isn't a bad thing just because they have a national brand behind them.
It's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these people that own these franchises probably have kids that go to the same school as you, and put a lot of money into the economy and nonprofits and those type of things too. So they deserve some of our dollars as well. But yeah, I have thought about there's the mall is a great example. I mean, the businesses that were barely getting by before are going to have a hard time, big, small, or anywhere in between. If they were barely getting by, that probably means they don't have a huge cushion to fall back on, or depending on what kind of service they have, they might not be able to pivot and do pickup or delivery or whatever. I think we're going to see a lot of businesses not make it out of this. Which is sad, but going back to what we talked about before, it could create a lot of new businesses out of this too. So, I mean, look at the food delivery services like Uber Eats and Grubhub and all those. I mean, those obviously were around before this, but they've exploded because of this. I mean, I've used every one of those in the last week. So
grocery delivery too, Instacart and everything. Yeah, as long as they're giving people the right counsel to be safe, which my understanding is they are. And
I mean, just what we ordered from somewhere a couple of days ago, and on the app that I ordered from, it's like, just drop it off at your front porch, or do you want us to knock on the door? Like, it was already in the app, in the software built in. Like, do you want the no contact and just text when it's on your front porch? So, like, that's pretty cool. Just cool how quickly they develop some of that stuff.
Yeah, that is nice. Well, I'm really anxious to see if it's going to extend beyond April, because I think that, I mean, of course, obviously, the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be for businesses that are already highly leveraged right now.
Yeah, I anticipate it will. I mean, I think at this point, I have no idea, of course, but like, I just don't see it. They haven't even talked about us peaking here in Illinois yet. And if they haven't said that we've peaked, or to think about they're going to reopen everything in 3 weeks, I think is a little bit naive of us to think. So I would anticipate it going longer. What state was it that's already in June? Was it Virginia or
oh, really? I didn't hear that.
There's one state in the country that's already like June 8th or 10th or something like that. So
yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, I think it comes down to this as a business owner, and it's much easier to say this than execute this, and I'm fully aware of that. But you're either going to have to figure out a way to maneuver through this, or you're not going to be able to survive through this. And I think that's what's important. Like, there's, in my industry as agents and of all different kinds of products, there's going to be those that just complain and say that, well, I can't do this because of XYZ, or because no one wants to come see me, no one wants to do this. Or you can do everything you're possible to meet your clients or your customers exactly where they are and find a way to do business. And those are the people that are going to come out here probably stronger than they were before. They have more tools to work with. So
yeah, that's I totally agree, both on a personal and professional level, that this is the type of adversity that, it's like being asked to do some sort of really difficult physical challenge, right? It forces your body to get in shape to rise to meet that, and then you're stronger afterwards. And you gotta, whatever your personal situation is, like is it your relationship with your family? Is it your own personal like relationship with your psyche? You can build yourself up. Is it your business? Is it your involvement in the community? Is there some way you can use this as an opportunity to grow stronger so you have more tools when you get out the other side of it? It's really hard to take that perspective all the time because it's just so it's really hard to plan anything when you don't know if things are going to change all the time. But that that seems to be the mindset you got to have to get through it, right?
Yeah, you have to be able to adapt quickly. I mean, no one, like I said before, no one prepared for this. And that's exactly why you have to be able to figure it out. You can get mad, you can get angry, you can have that moment, but then you gotta go. I mean, I really, really didn't want to give. I'm an extrovert too, and I didn't want to give up going to the office. But
Yeah.
but there's actually a point where I could probably do a heck of a lot more work if I just set up at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to. It's really weird, and it's not in my comfort zone at all.
Yeah.
But
I've heard from introverts that an office environment is really difficult for them with their personality. It's very draining. And I heard them and I tried to empathize, but I didn't I tried to, or sympathize, whatever. I tried to be sympathetic towards them, but I have to admit I didn't fully internalize it. But now that the switch is flipped and this is a work environment that's more attuned to introverts, I've become far more sympathetic that if I had to always work like this, I would not be as effective at my job because my energy level drains when I'm not around people.
yeah,
And hopefully that'll make me a better team member that I can be more respectful of people's personality needs and things like that.
yeah. I mean, I that's exactly what I'm looking. So I'm going to start working really hard to book as many appointments as I can for the month of May. I usually work about a month ahead. And now for when I'm booking these appointments for May, not knowing if I'm going to be able to have people in the office or not, that's what we got to set the expectation of when we make these appointments. And that's what I mean when I say meet people where they are. There's some people that when we call, they're like, I don't care if we can come to your office. I'm not coming to your office in May. And we set it up through Skype. Or we get a telephone call or we just work through email or however they need to be. We can be. And I think that's, as we're calling people and setting up those appointments, we're going to talk through that and let people know.
Yeah.
Where before, and I say that before, I really wanted people in my office. I just used to have much more control as far as everything was there, right? Their file was in my office. The computer was there. If they needed to make a change on the fly, it was easy to do. And that's why I always wanted those appointments in the office. And I just can't. We can't have that anymore. I think ever. Like even after this, but 6-7 months from now, I think people are going to be some people are going to be a little bit hesitant to come into an office. And so now I'll be more comfortable in the future doing these types of appointments and be better prepared for these types of appointments. And that's what I mean by coming out of this stronger is how many more appointments, how many people can I have an impact of and positive impact of just because of the lessons I learned throughout this whole ordeal. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really only had one more thing to ask you is just kind of the support that you feel like you're getting from various organizations. So you mentioned the federal program there. Has the Chamber of Commerce or the city or the state done anything that's been particularly notable to help the small business community?
Well, as far as like real tangible grants or deferments or anything like that, I think as I alluded to before, that it all has to trickle down from federal to state to local. I think nobody on the city level or town level is going to start giving away money, not knowing what the federal government's going to do because that could affect future federal grants and all that type of stuff. But just how do I feel supported? If that's the question, pretty good. I think I'm very proud of my governor. I think our governor is one of 4 or 5 governors in the entire country that was way ahead of this. He didn't waste a lot of time, which was a pain in the butt. I give him that. I give everybody that. I mean, it was, but I'm thankful for it now because there's a lot of states in a lot of worse condition than we are. So I'm thankful for that. I think he's putting a lot of pressure on the federal government to move faster, which is nice. The Chamber of Commerce you mentioned has been great at getting out information to business owners. I get several emails a day from the Chamber of Commerce. That's who put on that PPP presentation through Facebook Live. They just invited business owners to kind of walk through what that program was at the fest, and that was that the details of that program got released after 5 o'clock the day before, and at 11 o'clock the next day they had that Facebook Live getting us the information. So they've been really good at pushing information out as it comes out. So yeah, I mean, overall, I feel pretty good right now as far as the support we're getting. But I'm also very patient because I know everybody's flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like I said, as much as it makes everybody else's head spin, it's making all the city officials' head spin. It's making the council people's head spin. The state, no one knows what to do. They're all trying to figure it out together. But I think we will. We'll make it out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching the city council wrestle with that emergency ordinance too. I know that was a really tough line for them to walk, especially when they're trying to figure out technology issues on top of it too. So
it's all that meeting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's easy just to like poke fun at or criticize people who are making decisions, but you either have to doing nothing is making a decision too when you're in a position of responsibility. And so like there's not an option, there's not a neutral option. You got to try something that works with the information you have and the best judgment, or you can not do anything, which in itself could make things worse, so
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for the people who are in elected office and in positions of responsibility, in the city and elsewhere, because you're just presented with this challenge and you got to do it. You got to do something with that information. And
Yeah.
it's the rest of us who I've been thinking about how most of my volunteer stuff stopped now. Like planning commission tried to meet, didn't work out. I was trying to organize an event, that's not happening anymore. So I got a lot of free time. I can just kind of sit around, but a lot of people can't. So
Yeah.
respect to them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's people that are really just sitting at home, hitting their head against the wall, trying to figure out how they're going to make the mortgage payment, and so that's what I mean. Like I am very hesitant to complain about the situation I'm in. Of course, my income's going down, and things could be better, and I'm bummed because I can't see people. but when we're in a world traumatic event, a world crisis like we're in, I think our thoughts have to be more with those people that have it worse than we do, and there are plenty of them right now. Especially, I mean, even in our community. But yeah, I think we're gonna get out of it stronger. I gotta look optimistically throughout the whole thing. Otherwise, if stuck at home and looking pessimistic, I'm gonna drive myself nuts. So
yeah. Well, you can decorate your office too. So
get something back there, right?
Got to work on the. I got the branding here.
You do. Yeah. I might have to order one of those by a printer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the one time I've outmarketed you, so I'm happy about this. All right, man. Well, thanks for taking the time. Our 2 of our 3 sponsors are still operating apparently, so BRE Law is still taking calls and trying to help people out. So life doesn't just stop after with all this too. Things still happen. You still need help, so give them a call if you need it. And Normal Gadgets is cleaning a lot of phones right now. So
yeah, it's a big deal.
If there's anything in your house that's going to get COVID-19 all over it, it's probably your cell phone. So bring it on into there. They can clear that. They can clean up that dirty thing for you. So, but Terry told me they shut down Play Normal Esports clearly right now. So
though I checked their Facebook because I think I saw something where they're doing something virtually, of course, through Play Normal. So hop on and check. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I bet they are working on something on that. Terry's on my list of people to bring on to chat about how his business is doing. So checking with him. So
very cool.
Well, cool, man. Stay healthy. Keep riding that bike.
Hopefully we still have good weather. I mean, hopefully it keeps getting better. That'll help with this whole.
Oh man, when it started raining or like snowing that day.
I have no idea the anxiety that I had that whole first week.
Yeah. I saw something. You see that thing online? It was like apparently my life is being written by a 4th grader now. so that everyone was sick and they had to stay home, and it started to snow, and the president was Donald Trump. It's just like
I like the one yesterday. I sent it to a friend of mine that's like really stingent on their planner. They goes, "Why the hell did I buy a 2020 planner?" That's really funny.
Yeah. All right, man. Look forward to seeing you soon in person.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks.
Bye.